deliver this webinar, this sort of 1 hour lunchtime webinar. Appreciate that. And also secondly, thanks very much to everyone who has taken the time out to spend an hour here, hopefully around an hour, listening to this this webinar, and really do hope that maybe that you can get 1 or 2 nuggets out of this, like, because you're busy people. So thanks very much for your attention. As Brenda said, there'll be a time at the end for some questions, but if you do want to pop some questions into the chat box, Brenda will be keeping an eye, and maybe if they're relevant to something we're talking at the time, can maybe answer it there and then. So without further ado, so basically first I'll just talk a wee small bit about myself from the point of view of, you know, obviously I've worked in sales for maybe over 25 years, and I've been my own coaching business, and I suppose the personal resilience part has really come forward in two roles I have at the moment. In the last couple of years, I work as a career coach with Work and Transitions. They're a company based in England, and I look after Northern Ireland for them. And basically what the areas I work on are after redundancy. I suppose one contract I had last year where there was maybe 70 or 80 people who were made redundant with HMRC. And my role was to deliver personal resilience workshops to them and do follow-up one-to-one coaching to help them in the transition that they were making from long-term employment. Some people were happy that they were going out and they were taking retirement, but even in that itself, that was a challenge because they lacked a sense of purpose and meaning. So I've been working there, and my second role is an associate with the GPA, the Gaelic Players Association, where I work as a personal development coach for Ulster and parts of Connacht, dealing with young footballers young footballers and hurlers who are giving up so much time and energy, and helping them manage themselves off the field with regards to their work, with regards to their career, with regards to their education, and also dealing with setbacks and challenges of huge games, also on the lines of maybe an injury, maybe getting dropped. So they're going through these things all the time. So they have to develop an element of resilience within themselves to try and manage things and cope those things. So really, I'm just going to, from the point of view of working with those two roles, and sort of like obviously in my day-to-day job, you're working with business people who run businesses, and they're constantly under pressure and challenges, and really just helping them in dealing with those challenges. You know, I'd actually just won yesterday where a guy is reopening a business, and he is changing the contracts of employment, and there's changes to their hours of work and to their days of work. And 4 of the 11 people accepted the terms, and the other 7 wouldn't accept the terms. Now, he was very disappointed, and he was hurt emotionally, so he had to go through a process of sort of negotiation with some of them. And luckily, yesterday, they're all back, all 10 of them back. There's one going to be off sick, but he's done a really good job of trying to manage that so that they can actually get the business up and running from next Monday. But it was a very stressful, challenging situation, so he had to be quite resilient. So those things are happening. So that's just a wee bit about me. So it is. So I'll just move on and just throw up those quotes. Sometimes people ask the question, sort of these 2 quotes here. The top one comes from Nelson Mandela, where the greatest glory lies not in never falling down, but in rising every time. And this is a big thing about resilience. You know, you're guaranteed things are going to happen, okay? But you have to make a decision. Is this a mountain or a molehill? So it's not the action, it's always the reaction. And the second quote is, not the strongest of the species to survive, nor the most intelligent, but the more responsive to change. Okay, Charles Darwin. Okay, so this is just giving you an insight into regards to your mindset and resilience. Some people that you know, setbacks happen to them, and for whatever it is about them, they take them in their stride and they move on. And you can give an example of another person where the first setback that happens to them and then they fall apart. And that'll be really down to the resilience that they have built up inside them. So that the thing about resilience, it's a learned behavior. It's a learned skill. It can be learned. But the more challenges you have, the more setbacks you have, the more resilience that you'll build up. Okay. So quick wee warm up. You always have to do a warm up. And for someone who's a runner like myself and an ex-footballer, I always have to do my warm ups. You know, so just in the chat box, just fire in there. How do you feel today? So if you just share, just give me one word or whatever, 2 if you want. Okay, we have a couple, yeah, starting coming through now here. What are we seeing, Brenda?
So up for a challenge from Bridget, a bit tired. Sue is motivated. Yvonne is nervous of changes caused by COVID. We have hopeful, stressed. Feeling a lot more positive today than perhaps this time a few months ago. Yeah, I think we're hopefully all in the same, positive, very busy, nervous to return to work, feeling pulled in lots of different directions. Susan is optimistic, and you know, a couple are stressed, some excited, positive today than yesterday, and again nervous about returning to work. So a mixture there.
There's a mixture there, like, you know, there's nervousness, there's excitement, and there's stressed. So there's enough of that. Okay, so hopefully it will get some out. Isabella Riot, if she could turn off or mute, if she could mute. And just the next things from the point of view of this time, what would you like to get out of today? If you could just stick in something in the chat box. So have an idea. I mean, you're here for a reason. You're taking your time out. So we just like, what would you like to get out of today? You seeing any there, Brenda?
Not just yet. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. Here we go. A new perspective on resilience. Some tools for the new toolbox.
Tools.
Tips to react to change.
Okay.
Resources, ideas to use. Susan, motivational tips. More resilience to challenging team members. We have understanding of resilience as you understand it and ways of building it. I always think, I think I mentioned this to you before, Seanie, I think resilience, like a lot of things, can mean different things to people. So, and then we have tips to share with different people with different mindsets.
Okay. So you're seeing that whole thing about like some tools to deal with this, some techniques, at different perspectives on it, ways of thinking. But that whole thing about obviously looking to take away a tool or a technique or something from the point of view of being able to, you know, deal with maybe difficult situations or difficult people, and for them to build their resilience. Okay, oh, that's super. Thank you for that.
There seems to have been quite a few mentions of dealing with difficult team members, so that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah.
Okay. Just, right then. Okay, no, I'll keep that in mind. So so we're just looking at the current climate at the moment, and if we look at sort of three things, we look at the workplace changes. Okay, it's happening at the moment. So basically, you know, there's some people working, some people not working, some people in furlough, some people working from home. There's some people actually wearing protective equipment. So there is, and there's some people working different days and different times. Okay. There's obviously workforce changes, you know, because maybe there's less people in work. There's maybe some people made redundant. There's different people are doing different tasks. So they are. So there's actually within the workforce, there's changes taking place. And finally is the sort of business challenges. And the business challenges, obviously, there's huge financial challenges. There's huge technical challenges. There's huge emotional challenges. So basically, you know, it's these challenges are all happening now. But I suppose the question being asked here now is are there better days ahead? How are you viewing the landscape ahead of you? So from your mindset point of view, do you see light at the end of the tunnel? Is there vision there? Have you got a plan? Is your plan, you know, is it a 6-week plan? Is it a 3-month plan? So is it just we just take every day as it comes? But I suppose your mindset from the point of view, are there better days ahead? That will sort of click in with your resilience. So it will. So if you see this thing here as being a major crisis and it's probably not going to get over this, then you probably have a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you sort of look at this and we say, right, there are better days ahead. What can we do? What are our options? What are our alternatives? Who can we influence or whatever? That there are better days ahead, even with all the challenges that are in front of you. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to take a look at stress and resilience and the connection there. We're going to look at change v transition because they're actually different. So it's actually just do a wee bit of work on that. We're going to look at the C.I.A model. It's a coaching model that I would use quite a bit to do with control, influence, and accept. We'll look at coping strategies, and the 4 coping strategies we'll look at that are available: confidence, adaptability, purposefulness, and social support. And finally, we just take a look at coaching and the importance of coaching now with your people for you to understand them and for you to get perspectives and for them to understand you. Okay. So just going to show you the performance pressure curve in relation to resilience. So basically, there's 3 boxes here on the side. Like, you know, if you take a look at, you probably ask yourself a question: where am I now on this curve? It's a big question. Am I on the rust out? Okay, where I no longer find my work interesting or challenging. I'm demotivated, I'm disinterested, and I'm disengaged. You might even have people who are in that area. So they are. It's not that they don't know what to do. They're just not motivated to do anything. Then the middle one there is obviously in the positive psychological well-being area. Yes, there's pressure. Yes, they're challenged, but they're motivated, they're engaged, and their performance is to a high level. And then you move then to the red one, which is the burnout one. Okay, they're under excessive pressure, right? There's a lack of engagement, lack of motivation, and performance is certainly poor. So you probably have to ask yourself, you know, where are you on the curve and how is that impacting you when you're working? Like, so, you know, you don't have to share that with me, but it's really just asking yourself from that point of view. And it says, what can I do that's going to take me out of the rust out back into the green? What can I do is going to take me out of the burnout every time I try and slip into it? So as we go on today and we look at the coping strategies, hopefully you're going to be able to pick up some of these things that's going to sort of bring you back in when you fall into one of these, because we do fall into these at different times. But what have we got to help us pull us back? So looking at resilience and stress, okay. So stress, you know, sometimes people say, oh, I work really, really well under stress, but really that's not the case. Like, you can work well under pressure, but stress is something that doesn't do you well. It doesn't benefit you, okay? Working under pressure, surely, but it's pressure that you're in control of. So I really just want to look at 4 areas where the impact of stress can have on you, okay? So sustained periods of rust out and burnout can lead to stress. So if you look at your physical health, what's happening there? If you're stressed out, maybe you get, there's a physical pain, maybe pains in your back, pains in your neck. There's mood changes. There's damage internally to you. You know, we talk about when you listen to the doctor talk about type 2 diabetes, health, cancers, etc., all related to high levels of stress. If you look at your quality of your thinking, you know, normally our quality of thinking is pretty good. We can look at options, we can look at alternatives, but unfortunately, whenever you're stressed, you probably default more to be reactive. You are, and there's a lack of quality thinking, and you can end up making the wrong decisions. When you move to your emotions, you know, basically then you find that your emotions get out of control, and the emotions start to run you. There's a total imbalance. Okay, you see small things as huge things. Okay, and then so you find yourself, you're reacting all the time, not responding. Okay, and finally there's the unhealthy coping behaviors where some people default to maybe increased alcohol. They maybe increase to sort of maybe stop doing exercise. They maybe sort of their eating habits change. You know, they're staying up, their sleeping habits change. So these things aren't very useful. So they aren't at all. So our personal resilience is a toolkit that we can use to avoid staying in the rust out or the burnout for too long, thus avoiding long-term negative effects of stress. So change v transition. So if I said to you all, one of these is external and one of them is internal. If you just write down on your own books that you have there, whatever, which one of these is internal and which one of them is external? Change or transition? That's just for yourselves. Okay. So if I throw up this diagram, and hopefully you've got this, change itself is actually internal. Change is the shift. Change is the event. Change is the situation. But the challenge for you as a person is the transition internally and how you adapt to the change that's taking place. And you can see down the list there, you know, organizations make changes, okay? But it's how you adapt to them is your level of resilience. So it isn't the changes that do you in, it's the transition. So really, there's changes taking place every day around the world and in your life. We now change the way we communicate. I mean, 10 years ago, you didn't have Twitter or Instagram. Now people are communicating them. That was a change and you adapted. We changed how we watch TV. 10 years ago, you didn't have Netflix or Amazon Prime. Now people are watching them all the time. We change how we eat and what we eat. So we do. So there's change taking place all the time. So you need to understand it's not about fighting the change. It's about managing the transition inside you is the key. And some people are able to adapt that very quick and some people take longer. I'll give you an example. Like the local council here a number of years ago, you know, they changed to have 3 bins. I now have 3 large bins outside. Now, that was an organizational change, but I had to adapt to it. So I had to make changes into how I put out my rubbish. Now, it might sound simple, but that is a simple thing of how I have to divide up my rubbish now to put it out into 3 different bins. But I just have to accept that. Some people might take longer, but it's an organizational change. And also with regards to change, you need to ask yourself this question here. Are you going to something or are you going away from something? Which involves change. So, you know, I suppose it's probably a big thing, probably maybe in relationships whenever you're going away, because you could be going away from something, but you've nowhere to go. So this will have an impact. You could be going to a new job or you could be going to no job. Yeah. So these things are all there. If you're going to something, it's actually more positive than it is if you're going away from something. And finally, we are meaning-making machines. So we will give meaning to events. So we will. And some people will make these things out to be huge crisis or huge drama, when really and truly it's not that big a deal to other people. So we give meaning to things based on our beliefs and our values. So you need to understand this thing about meaning. What meaning are you giving to the certain changes that are taking place? Because that will determine then your response. Okay, so I'm actually going to pull up the C.I.A model here. I find myself work a lot with this model with clients, and it actually proves to be really, really, really helpful. So it does. So a situation comes along to you today, and rather than 3 circles, say you have 3 boxes, and you have a piece of paper, and you draw 3 boxes. And the first thing you say to yourself is, right, well, what's in my control with this situation? What can I do about it? You move to the middle box and say, right, well, who or what can I influence on this situation? And the last box is basically is this, what do I just have to accept? Because it's totally outside of my control. And the amount of people who try to control what's in the accept box is very high. And the key to this will help you as regards your health and well-being. The more that you can leave things in the accept box because they are in the accept box and you have no control over them, the better you will be as a person. And the more relaxed you will be, and the more healthier you will be. So please stop trying to change things and take control of things that are in the accept box, and work and what you can control, and maybe who you can influence. It's a really good exercise. So this afternoon, if something comes up today, this afternoon, take this exercise out and start asking yourself, like, what can I do with this situation? Who or what can I talk to? What am I just going to have to accept at the moment? Okay, we're going to move into sort of coping strategies here. Okay, I'm going to pull up the 4 coping strategies here to do with C.A.P.S. Okay, so we've got 4 things. We've got social support, we've got confidence, adaptability, and purpose. Now, I'm a great man for an anagram. So if you look at that, it's S is first. So it's like S.C.A.P. So I actually turn it around. I put the S at the bottom, and I use it C.A.P.S because it's easy to remember. So it is. So if I was to ask each one of you now, if you are going through a setback or you have a challenge or difficult situation, and you need to dip into your resilience, which of these 4 are you more likely to dip into and use? And if you could just put in one of those into the chat box as regards the one that you're more likely to default to. Are you more likely to tap into the social support around you? Are you more likely to tap into your confidence of yourself as a person, what you can do? Are you going to look back on your adaptability and your different skill sets in different areas? Or is your purpose, you're going to look forward to your purpose and keep on the go?
Adaptability is coming in up there. 3 people are saying adaptability. 1 has social support, 1 purpose. Again, adaptability again. Adaptability. It seems to be winning the coping strategy there. Yeah.
Adaptability is the one that's coming up the most then, like, so far.
It is. Yeah, adaptability there again. Adaptability and social equally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So most people are saying adaptability.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So it is. It's good just from an awareness point of view to know. So we're just going to go in now to we're going to do the 4 of these and go a wee bit deeper and put some meat on the bones. Okay. Confidence. Okay. So confidence comes in 2 places. Okay. Confidence in your ability and interpersonal confidence. Okay. So I actually carry out an online mental toughness testing thing, and it's really interesting whenever you see some people out of 10, they got 5 out of 10 for confidence. But when you break it down, I had some guys were 7 in confidence and ability, and there were 3 for interpersonal confidence. So if we focus too much on one but not in another, you know, we need to try our best to be confident in both these areas. Okay. So when you're looking at your abilities, you know, basically, I'm a great believer, and I keep saying this all the time, that competence leads to confidence. If you find yourself competent in doing something, you have the knowledge, you have the experience, you have the skills. If you're asked to do more of that, you're going to be okay. If you have lots of knowledge on a topic and you're asked to talk about it, you'll be okay. It's whenever you're asked to dip outside and talk about something or do something that you know nothing about, your confidence is going to go down. So becoming competent is really, really important. So it is. Strengths. If you're working on your strengths when you're at work, it's so important. You will enjoy your work so much more because it's something you like doing and you're good at. And usually when you find you've got the lump in the stomach is whenever somebody asks you to do things at work that you can't do, you've never done before, and you're going to struggle. So to get people to work more on their strengths, they'll enjoy doing it and they'll perform a lot better. So finding out those strengths and knowing those strengths, but that's a big area that some people just don't know. If I ask everybody here, give me a list of your 5 top strengths, I'm sure every one of you would struggle. So maybe knowing a wee bit more about yourself and what you do well, and what you like doing well is a wee bit from the point of view of your own personal development. Who it is. And finally, there's the self-efficiency, which is the belief you have in your capability to organize and execute a course of action required to manage a situation. Okay, so that's that self-efficiency. That's your belief that you can do that. And if you move to the bottom one, the interpersonal confidence is basically how assertive are you? Okay, do you avoid or do you address? Or do you let things just hang on, and then they build up and they build up, and then there's an explosion? Because if you had been more assertive and dealt with things at the time. Conflict, do you address conflict or do you avoid conflict? Do you run away from it or do you deal with it there and then? The reasons there is probably two reasons. People don't have the skill and some don't have the will. And lastly, can you hold your own? If you're in a meeting with 5 people and you have a different opinion, can you stand up and say, I don't agree with that? That goes against my values and my beliefs, and I feel as though we're going down the wrong road. Have you the interpersonal confidence to stand up when somebody has a different opinion of yours, that you can have a discussion, you can share your point, they can share your point, and they can move on? Or do you leave the room and tell everybody else that you disagreed with it, but you never said nothing when you were in the room? Because you lack the interpersonal confidence to stand up and voice your opinion. Okay. Second one, adaptability. Okay, so how adaptable are you? Juggling lots of balls, walking upstairs and trying to open a door at the one time. You need to be adaptable. So how calm and composed are you at the moment? And that's all about planning. That's all about prioritizing. If you have laid out your day or laid out your week and you've it organized and you have a certain element of structure, if something comes along, you're going to be able to deal with that. Okay, you'll be able to look upon that. Is it a priority? Is it something I can do? Is it something I will delegate? Is it something I will prioritize? Or is it something I will dump? Okay, so how calm and composed are you at the moment? Are you solving problems creatively? Okay, old problems will not be sorted. New problems will not be sorted out with old mindsets. Okay, so you're going to have to create a new mindset to deal with these new problems, because the old mindset will not deal with the new problems. So it's admitting that you have to be creative, you have to think outside the box, you might have to go for different support, so you will, but it's actually in helping you solve those problems. Okay, the old mindset will not sort out the new problems. Okay. How are you dealing with uncertainty at the moment? Because we love certainty. It's one of our human needs, certainty, and we don't have it at the moment. So how are you dealing with this uncertainty? Are you able to manage the next 6 days, the next 6 weeks, maybe the next 6 hours, with not knowing what's going to happen? As I say, one of our human needs is certainty, but we don't have it at the moment. So we don't. So how are you dealing with that at the moment? Like, no one knows the answers at the moment. People might be saying, oh, I know what's going to happen in 3 months' time and 2 months. They don't know. Nobody knows at the moment. So therefore, how are you dealing with that uncertainty yourself? Are you taking every day as it comes? But are you just taking steps forward slowly but surely? I always say, how do you eat an elephant? Small chunks. You're just taking small chunks and small chunks as you go along and dealing with the uncertainty. What new things are you learning? Are you learning new skills? Are you learning new tasks? Whatever. Just to add to your experience, add to your knowledge, add to your skill set. Are you being flexible and open-minded? Okay? You need to understand that what got you here won't get you there. Everything's changed here. There's a new environment out there. So remember, the old ways, what got you here won't get you there. So you've got to be very flexible and open-minded to new ideas, new opinions. And finally, how are you adjusting to different environments? Okay, how are you adjusting to the home environment? Right? How are you adjusting to the work adaptations? How are you adapting to the lack of social interaction? How are you adjusting to the lack of coffee breaks with your friends? Like, how are you adjusting to those things here, and how that's all falling into the one thing as regards adaptability. Okay. Next one is P for our purposefulness. Okay. So purposefulness is an interesting one too. You know, because we sort of, if you ask the question, and probably if I asked everyone who's now to write down what's your purpose, I'm sure quite a few would probably struggle, because it happens in all the ones I do here that people struggle with purpose. But suppose if you look at, people sometimes say vocational jobs like nurses, teachers, policemen, firemen, you know, there's a sense of purpose in the vocation, but it's bigger than that. I mean, if you're an employer and you're employing people, you're providing employment to people so that they can actually maybe buy the first car, that maybe that you're helping them buy the first house. You may be helping them maybe prepare to get married because you're employing people. You're maybe helping them stay at home rather than have to go away to another town. So as business owners, I mean, I think you have a huge sense of purpose, and you probably don't give yourselves enough credit. If you're employing people, the credit that you should be getting is huge. If you're a builder and you're laying blocks, you're not just laying blocks, you're building a home for somebody. So you have a sense of purpose there too. So maybe just looking a wee bit deeper at the sense of purpose that you have. Like, the big thing about purpose is actually in setting goals and achieving goals. Because if you don't set any goal, you don't know where you're going. And you'll end up drifting, and you'll drift and you drift and drift, and you stop a couple of years later and you just go, look where I am. So the whole idea is to sort of set goals and where you're looking to get to and what you're looking to achieve. Okay? Give yourself that sense of purpose, okay? Because a wee bit of, and the setting of goals, suppose with my goal setting, there's 3 areas you look at. You look at your outcome goal, what you're looking to achieve and why. You look at your process goals, which are underneath that, which are your hows. How am I going to get there? When am I going to get there? And then your last one is your performance goals, which is basically your benchmarks. Okay? Where do I need to be at this time after a month? Where I need to be after 2 months? From your monitoring point of view, just to see how you're doing. Okay? So that's your outcome goals, your process goals, and your performance goals. And the key is to work on your process goals, which is all your hows. How am I going to get there? What am I going to do differently? What am I going to do more of? What am I going to do less of? And the last one too is, who's going to support me? Who's going to help me? What support do I have to help me go on this journey? Who's going to keep me accountable? Clarity of direction. Okay? Where are you going? Because I suppose I could jump into my car and I might want to go to, if I don't know where I'm going, I might think, well, I want to go to Cork. I could end up in Galway. You know, but at least I know I'm going to Cork. I can go down via Dublin, I can through the Midlands, or I can go down the Wandale coast. How I get there is 3 different ways, but I know I'm going to Cork. But if you don't know you're going to Cork, as I say, you could end up in Galway. So having that clarity of direction of where you're going is very important in purpose. And finally, you know, as I say, no one's ever too busy. It's always a matter of priorities. What are your priorities right now at the moment? Okay? And stick to your priorities. And the thing about goals, setting goals, is the majority of goals and the majority of people have about what they want to do and what they want to achieve as regards purpose. Basically, our right side of our brain is our emotional part of our brain. Most things take place there. All our dreams, all our pictures, all our ideas. They're up there in the right part of our brain. But with most people, they stay there. And you meet them a month later, 2 months later, and there's still a picture. Until they move and link with the left side of the brain, which is our rational side of our brain, and it's written down in words, and there's a connection between the two, it'll stay as a dream. So it's very, very important. You're 40% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. You're connecting the right brain with the left brain. Okay? You're putting the words and you're connecting the words with a picture. So it's very, very important. Don't just tell, just don't say you're going to do this and do that there. Get your piece of paper and write them down. And always remember, folks, like, your potential is massive. You can achieve anything, but you can't achieve everything. Okay? Lastly here with social support. So I've put up sort of 5 areas there of social support, okay? So suppose there's a good quote: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, get support. We all need support. We all need somebody to turn to, so we do in times, and we always need a bit of guidance to help us along the way. Nobody ever made it on their own. No man is an island, okay? Anybody that made it to the top always had somebody or a number of people to help. And the very, very smart people are always looking out to other people for help, for guidance or advice or whatever. So obviously, there's research has shown that the positive effects of social support versus negative effects on stress. So there's 5 areas here. So I'd be asking you a question here. Which one of these do you use the most? Okay. And which of these could you use more of? Okay. So the first thing, obviously, is emotional support. Okay. Being there for some people. Okay. I appreciate we can't give hugs at the moment. So we do. But giving that emotional support to people is very, very important. Esteem support, you know, giving praise, giving recognition for what people do. Okay, saying thank you. What a good job. Because the issue we have on that there is you could be doing a job for 30 days in a row, every day. And I read about this the other day. Like, you take an example of a mother cooks the dinner 30 days in a row. And the next day she doesn't. And the kids and the husband say, why didn't you cook the dinner today? Nobody turned around and said, well done for the 30 days you did do it. People always remember what you don't do. So it's the same in a lot of cases. These things might be small, simple things that people are doing every day. Maybe just give them a wee bit of credit and a bit of thank you and appreciation for what they are doing, and not jump on people for the one thing they don't do on esteem. Network support, okay? Being there for some people. Now, we can't maybe go out for coffees at the moment, but you can give them a phone call. You can drop people a text. You can do a WhatsApp. You can do a Zoom call. You know, just tapping in with people every now and again is really, really important. So it is. Practical support at giving help to some people in a sort of practical way. And finally, informational support is just, if you've got knowledge of something, communicate it to them. Pass on some information that you feel as though is going to be beneficial to those people. So there's a whole range of supports there, and we can receive them in different ways, and you're probably using some of these a lot, but there's maybe some of them you're not using at all. So we'll just ask you to raise your awareness on those. Okay, I'm now sort of talking about an objective here. Obviously, with me being a coach, and I was a former sales manager with 2 different companies, and a small business, and a sales manager with a corporate company. So therefore, I understand the thing about managing people. So I just feel as though there's a huge thing here about being more coach-like boss and more coach-like manager. Now, you're not going to be a coach. You're just going to be more coach-like. So really, telling less and asking more is a really, really good thing if you can adapt the skill of being able to do that, okay? And you'll be surprised that your advice isn't as good as you think, okay? Because sometimes we're fixing the wrong problem. We're telling people what they should do, when really and truly we don't know. We don't know what's going on underneath. We don't know their core values, their core beliefs, their thoughts, their feelings, yet we're prepared to give them advice. So maybe if you ask more and tell less. One of the key questions at the moment is, what's your main challenge currently? Okay. And the way I would deal with that there at the moment, to try and break it down in a simplified way, is use the 3 Ps. And you'll find out it's going to be one of these Ps is the main challenge. And the first P is a project. Okay. It's what they're working on at the moment. They're working on a project. They have a certain issue or certain situation with the project, going to get done. So the focus is all on the project. The second one is about the person. There's something to do with that person and the people. It's a people-person issue, okay? Something to do with them themselves. that they need to become more assertive. They need to become a better communicator. They need to be able to handle their boss better. They need to be able to handle their employees better. So they do. They need to be able to handle their suppliers differently. They need to have conversations with their clients and customers. So it's very much a people person. And the last P is pattern of behavior. And it's looking at a habit there that you have that's not serving you well. It's not. You may be aware of it, but you can't break it. Or you may not be aware of it, but everybody around you is aware of it. But until you deal with that pattern of behavior, you're still going to struggle. And suppose the two key skills to work on is simply question and listening. And I say this in nearly every program I'm on. I says, like, you go to school, you're taught how to read, write, and you're taught how to talk, but you're not taught how to question and listen. But if you want to move to another level as regards managing with people, dealing with situations, become very good at questioning and listening. Fantastic skills, but it sounds easy, sounds simple, but it's not easy. So it's not. I'm actually going to now share a couple of examples of a few examples of resilience with, say, right, okay, I'm going to start off an example of myself, who's talking to you today. I do work with a lot of people, and I'm just going to share a story of my own from the point of view of resilience and something that was important to me. I finished playing football in 2000 when I was 34, and I ran my first marathon in Dublin 2002. Now, 20 years previously, I actually stood at the finish line and watched my father run 2:55, okay, as a marathon. He was a runner, and I was the runner in our house. And it was a goal in my life that I was going to break at 3 hours for a marathon. But I got a bit of a gunk when I ran my first marathon because I actually thought it was going to be easier. I actually had to stop. I stopped at 23 miles. I was walking along O'Connell Street. But I still had this itch to achieve that. So it went from 2002, right? And 15 years later, when I was 51, I ran 2:59.28. It took me 15 years to achieve that goal. So it is. In fact, that picture of my father crossing the line was there for 37 years. So it was. So what I'm saying to you from the point of view of things can be achieved. It's amazing when you apply yourself what you can achieve. So it is. I had to change. I had to adapt. As I was getting older and getting injured, I had to adapt my training. Okay? My purpose was always there. My social support, I changed my social support and basically contacted Gary O'Hanlon in Dublin to coach me for 16 weeks and give me a 4-month training plan. And I had to do something different because what I was doing previously wasn't getting me there. Okay? And I had to increase my confidence and competence in certain areas, of running to be able to, on strength training, which I hadn't done previously. So I used all 4 of those things and eventually got to achieve my goal. Okay? So from that point of view of dipping in resilience, and I'll just share one more story from the point of view of resilience. Again, there's probably a wee bit of nepotism here, but it's just from a story to tell, my son 2 years ago cracked a bone in his knee on the 5th of August against Donegal playing for Tyrone. Okay, the next day he was in Belfast with to get the MRI scan, and 2 days later met the specialist to be told that you're out for 8 to 12 weeks. You can see on the x-ray, it's a cracked bone in your knee. You're out, okay? Met the physio and myself, and he just put a plan in place that in 3.5 weeks' time, he was going to be playing the All-Ireland final, okay? So, against Monaghan in the semi-final, that's him. And 3 weeks later, that's him playing an All-Ireland final because of the purpose and the goal he had to achieve something. So it's amazing whenever you get your mind right and set a plan in place and a goal because of the purpose and drive to go to it. Adapting certain things that you had to do. Obviously, get an oxygen tent, sleep in an oxygen tent and spend 10 hours with an ice machine and a bone machine every day. These sort of things, dipping into your resilience, but the ultimate goal was able to drive the thing through there. So again, I know there's a personal angle there too, but I'm just sharing from the point of view of what can be done. And you yourself don't even know the resilience that you have built up inside you. And I suppose one of the things that I use a lot now in the statement of, if we're sort of dealing with people, are you preparing the child for the road? Are you preparing the road for the child? Because from the point of view of preparing yourself for resilience, you have to take knocks, and you sometimes have to fall down, and you have to have failure and rejection. So, because that will only help inside you to grow you as a person. So I know years ago, if I went to school and I didn't wear my coat, I get wet, right? Nowadays, there might be a case if some child goes to school and, you know, then somebody comes in and picks them up or drives into the town and drops off a coat so they don't get wet. Sometimes we have to let people go through tough times, okay, and take a step back and stop rescuing people, okay, because they will build up a level of resilience. Whenever big things happen, they have abundance of resilience built up there, and they're going to be able to tap into it and they'll not fall down. So questions I'm asking you now, because everything's about action. So, all right, listeners today, okay, you've got some new learnings today, you've got some new tools, some new tips and stuff like that, but nothing happens until something moves, and you're going to have to move. So you're going to have to write down 3 objectives you're going to set yourself to achieve moving forward. And the first step you're going to take to further develop your resilience is you're going to have to start this today, GR. You're going to have to put a plan in place about what you're going to do, because you've got dreams at the moment, you have pictures, and you're right, so you have, but those pictures will stay as pictures unless you write these things down and you connect your right brain and your left brain. There's more likely that you're going to take action, GR, to make things happen. Okay, and that's me. So it is. I'm not sure what our time is like.
Yeah, we're just still under the hour, Seanie, so we're doing good. Thanks very much. If anybody has a question they'd like to put to Seanie, please put it up in the chat, or maybe we'll allow people to come in if they want to unmute themselves and ask a question. Like I said, today I think we definitely hit the target of giving tools around resilience, but this is just touching on what can be achieved through a workshop on resilience. And like I said at the outset, we are offering a resilience in the workplace workshop with Seanie. The details will go up on the website shortly, and Seanie, you might elaborate a wee bit more on what's involved in that workshop, just so people know what they can expect.
Yeah, well, normally, obviously, when you deliver the workshop, it's not a PowerPoint, it's a workbook, and you work through a book. So if I was delivering this workshop with people, it would be at 3 to 3.5 hours, and we'd be working through the book, and you'd be doing a lot of reading, and you'd be doing exercises. So obviously we can't do that. So it'd be a case of me sending you the workbook, and you spending maybe an hour and a half doing the work on the workbook, and then us spending then maybe an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes then going through the workbook as a group and sharing and learning. And obviously that the whole thing is the completing of the workbook. That's where the learning is going to come from. That's where you're being asked the questions, and you have to think and stop and write down answers. So as regards, that's the way, Brenda, we could one more given that people sign up and want to do it. I would end up, if you get to whatever 8 or 10 people, then I'll send them the workbook, and they do the work beforehand, and then we come on and we meet together and we would talk through we go through the whole workbook. Like, so we would.
Brilliant. So we're looking at the workbook. It's going to take roughly about an hour to complete, and then we have a 2-hour session. So the workbook can be done in their own time prior to the workshop, and like I said, the dates and information will go up afterwards. I'm just looking here. Thank you, Seanie. Really enjoyed it. Really like the C.I.A model, and so again, I'm pretty sure that there's something to be taken from everybody out of today, depending on, like we said at the outset, what your objective was for coming in. But certainly the full 3-hour workshop would be hugely beneficial, and I don't see any questions coming up there. So look, I think we'll wrap it up, because again, I'm conscious of the fact that some people are sitting in on their lunch hour. So I want to say a big thank you to Seanie, and it was really informative. And resilience at this point in time in the workplace is challenging, and we're hearing from different sectors on what those challenges are and the difficulties that they're having. So it is important that we all look at ourselves and embrace the stresses that are coming with it, and to know the difference between it, and to build up our support network so that we can be resilient and get us through these challenging times. And again, as a network and a support agency, we're here. So please feel free to contact me at any time to discuss this or any other training that might benefit you and your business and your employees. And I suppose just onwards and upwards, and let's keep those doors open, hopefully. So thanks again, Seanie.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks to everybody. Cheers.
Brilliant. Thanks a million.